Surprise, surprise, surprise. We are going to have a quickie live stream right now because there have been updates about the Tory leadership contest. So best thing to do is update you and just keep you in the loop of what's going on. Because as we've been saying for quite a bit, they are going to want to try and sort this contest out as quickly as possible. And we've just had the news from Sir Graham Brady laying out how this contest is going to go. And oh boy, we could get, depending on how all this goes, we could get the final two by this Friday. This is how quick it could go. Make no mistake, it is going to be fast. So traditionally, to be even entered into the contest, what would happen is you would just need 8 MPs. That was what you used to need. It was not a lot, but it would mean that the field could get quite big. And not only that, per round, they would only eliminate one person at a time. Now they have said that they are going to eliminate multiple people in one round. So officially, the ballots or the entries will open. Let me make sure I get this right. Yep. So the nominations. So not only have they raised the threshold from 8 to 20, so that's a lot to get in your first round. So you've got to have been doing a lot of lobbying in that time to get the required number of MPs behind you. But the ballots tomorrow for considering who is going to be officially in the race will open tomorrow and then close tomorrow as well. So there's still being a lot of rumors about whether Priti Patel will throw her hat into the ring or not. So to be honest, if she doesn't declare tomorrow, which I partly hope she doesn't, because she would be absolutely awful if she ever got obviously into that position. But partly it would also be fun because she would probably definitely get in on this blue on blue action that we often see during these types of contests. So what will happen after that is once you have your, if you are an MP and you are running in the contest, you've got your 20 MPs, what happens next? Well, this is where it gets fun because the first ballot is going to be on Wednesday, followed very swiftly by the second ballot on Thursday. This is going to be quick. This is going to be very, very quick. So what we know is that the first ballot, 20 is what you need to actually be considered to be in the running for this race. The first ballot, from what we know, from what Graham Brady came out and said, you need 30. So automatically, to continue, you need to increase your number of MPs by 10. Not only that, if you maybe, let's say, just managed to pass the muster last round and got that 20, you have a day to try and find another 10 MPs to support you to pass that 30 mark to get into the second. And of course, after that, the second ballot, I think, is going to increase to about 50, I think. So make no mistake, and you are right, Jean-Luc Picard, they are all vile and awful. But that's not what we're here for. We are here for the sport of it. We are here for the mudslinging. We are here for the blue on blue Tory actions over the next probable couple of days, who are literally going to tear themselves well, they're not going to tell themselves, but they're going to tear each other to pieces. It is going to be fascinating watching. And because of the nature of how quick this is going to be, you could see a lot happen very, very quickly. And I'm talking very, very quickly. We're talking certainly after the first ballot, it could go boom, 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 very, very quickly. Constantly briefing against each other, putting out blogs, all kinds of stuff. This secret digital dossier that we've heard talked about could be very, very interesting. We're certainly going to have to see how all this goes, but make no mistake, this is going to be incredibly interesting to see which way this all goes. Because I'll tell you now, it's going to be fun to watch, but it's going to be a bit depressing as well. But we might as well have a bit of sport out of it, at least see them, rip into each other. That'll be quite fun to watch and see, certainly. We've already had Suella Braverman have a pop at Penny Mordaunt. She's accused Penny Mordaunt of making her pregnancy more stressful and putting under increased pressure. Yeah, that's it. Schadenfreude. Well, this is it. The 5th of September is the official date that when this date is going to end. So what happens is, like I say, we may get the final two by Friday. Maybe. Because they've said if they are not down to a final two by Friday, the voting will continue on Monday. So that's one certain possible scenario in all this. Of course, what will then happen that, let's say you get your final two on Friday, what then happens is that it then goes out to the members. And there are, from what we have heard, there is going to be about 12 different hustings up and down the country for basically whoever gets to this final two to literally just fight it out. It is going to be a 12-round bare knuckle boxing match held in 1-round bouts all over the country and online for us all to watch and enjoy. Needless to say, it is going to be fascinating watching. I can tell you that now, especially if they start tearing into each other. And almost certainly they are going to. Also, you may remember, I've talked before on this channel about Penny Mordaunt. Tomorrow, I will be doing a video going over just how awful Penny Mordaunt actually is as a candidate. And why are we going over her? Because you may remember, just a couple of months ago, I came to you all and said, look, you need to watch out for this person. She's got big backing and support in the Conservative Party. If there is a leadership contest, chances are she could do quite well. And the big reason why we've been going to Conservative Home and looking what Conservative Home have been saying is because Conservative Home reaches out continuously to all the membership of the non-parliamentary Conservative Party, gets in their opinions, does monthly polls, and guess what? They've just had a special poll. Who do you think? Who would you vote for in the running? And I'll tell you now, it's not Rishi Sunak, it's not Jeremy Hunt, it's Penny Mordaunt. Penny Mordaunt, according to Conservative Home, leads the pack in that race. But that is obviously only if she can get past these first two rounds. So expect, I think, a lot of attacks, certainly not only on Rishi Sunak, Liz Truss, but also to go into hard on Penny Mordaunt. If she has this type of lead very, very early on, I've said it before, she could win very easily. And then, yeah, we've got someone who, when we go over it tomorrow, has been described as possibly someone who could be worse than Margaret Thatcher. So, yeah, possibly that to look forward to. So make no mistake, like I said, this has been a very, very quick update, bringing you just what is going on potentially on this Tory leadership contest. But I wanted to leave you with a bit of fun, because obviously the news about Penny Mordaunt, and trust me, when we go over the video tomorrow, you will know just how worrying it is when I am sort of saying she could be worse than Margaret Thatcher as a potential MP. Well, not an MP, PM, shall we say. Her premiership could be interesting, could be very, very interesting. But before we do that, Shaps was a car crash on LBC. I didn't see his interview, but it doesn't surprise me if he did. So anyway, we're going to go over this piece quickly in The Guardian, because it's really true. And I think just recently, a lot of the political sort of journalists and whatnot have woken up to the fact of just how brutal this leadership contest is going to be. So we're going to go over this piece because I think it's well worth going over, because it sort of lays out to you what the current field is. Not only that, what the current mudslinging going on is at the moment. So obviously this comes to The Guardian. Title is Tory Leadership Contenders Smearing Each Other is Pure Political Noir. It has all the makings of a political noir. A secret meeting in a Westminster pub where one Machiavellian operator, spinning for a would-be Prime Minister, hands a dossier of evidence to the opposition party in order to smear their rivals. And like all the best Westminster rumours, it has a basis in truth. But the truth is perhaps even more unbelievable than the story. The reality is that multiple campaigns have been in touch with the Labour Party to distribute rumours about their rivals. So think about that for a second. Conservative MPs are giving over information about potential Tory leaders to the Labour Party. This could be very, very interesting. This could be very, very interesting indeed. As I've been telling you, it's going to get... Oh, dear me, that's me. As I've told you, it's going to get brutal. The fact that you've got Tory MPs not briefing the press, but going to the Labour Party and going, here's all the dirt we have on so-and-so. Just imagine that for a second. It's crazy. But this is actually happening. And I think it's only going to intensify. Yeah, that's it. Schadenfreude and more Schadenfreude. So, anyway, it continues. Not everything is fully formed. It's just tidbits sent on WhatsApp, which some sources suggest merits further investigation. So whoever could be maybe the prospectus future PM could very well soon find themselves maybe under investigation for more rumors. And I think I said it not too long ago. This might not be the only Tory leadership contest we have. Because whoever replaces Johnson, if the losers, as we've called it, the wrath of the disappointed, if they feel that they have chosen a complete no-hoper or lame duck, they'll try and get rid of them again. Make no mistake, they will. there is enough bad will now in the Tory party. There are enough parties within the party to really start causing some serious trouble. And trust me, it's going to be very fun to watch. But unfortunately, it's going to be very, very, very bad for our politics. Very, very bad. So, anyway, we continue. But it is a mark of how bitter the race to become the next Tory leader and the Prime Minister has become so quickly. The propaganda flying around includes lurid rumours of affairs, business dealings, and questionable tax status. So, this is already unbelievable that you've got Tory MPs briefing the opposition party on affairs, business dealings, and questionable tax statuses. And yet, it is unbelievable. That's right, Cathlo G. That's right. You know, this is the Tory party, and it's insane to the level that they've become. The fact that there now just seems to be an absolute dearth of talent in the Tory party, and that this is the way they now act. But also, this is part of Johnson's legacy, because after all, he swept out many of the good people in the Conservative Party. I think it's all rather uplifting. Yeah, it is to a certain extent. It really is. It is uplifting. But obviously, you've got to remember at the end of this, there is going to be a new Prime Minister in office. And obviously, as I've just said a couple of moments ago, if you missed it, Penny Mordaunt is the favourite amongst the grassroots memberships currently to win. And like I say, I'm going to do a video tomorrow just specifically focusing on Penny Mordaunt, about who she is. And honestly, the stuff that we're going to go through tomorrow, she's going to be worse than Thatcher. And that should worry a whole lot of people, because there are a lot of people. I didn't live through Thatcher. I'm far too young to have lived through Thatcher. But there are a lot of people out there probably watching who did, and who would probably dread the return of a Prime Minister that would act the way that she did, and not only act the way she did, that could be actually 10 times worse. Because Boris Johnson was a bad Prime Minister, and Margaret Thatcher did a lot of damage to this country. But what was really dangerous about her was that she was competent. She knew what she was doing. And that's the danger we could get into. So anyway, we'll continue with this. But yeah. So yeah, the propaganda flying around, let's just go conclude this again, includes lurid rumours of affairs, business dealings, and questionable tax status. Not all would meet the public interest test. Those who have faced the planted attacks so far include the Chancellor Nadhim Zahawi, and there are also expected to be coordinated efforts to undermine the campaigns of Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss. So we've got those to look forward to again as well. On Monday, an ally of the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, was forced to admit he had shared a memo sent round Tory WhatsApp groups attacking Sunak's record on the economy. Patrick Robertson denied being the author of the document when confronted by the Times, but he admitted he had shared it. So there's already briefings going on internally now. The memo gives a flavour of the bitterness likely to seep into the campaign against Sunak if he makes it to the final two. It accused Sunak of a quote, a failed March 2022 budget that was a welter of conditions, tax rises, sleights of hand, and it defied analytics, logic, or comprehension. The memo also said that Sunak had, quote, publicly lied not once, but twice when seeking to explain his wife's non-dom tax status. And it highlights the ex-chancellor's supposed opportunism, saying that he had launched his campaign for the leadership of the contest with a website domain registered back in December of 2021. Getting ready for Rishi means supporting a candidate who, like Boris Johnson, landed a Partygate fine from the police for breaking lockdown rules. Other candidates who are also coming unstuck by unsavory behavioral of briefings on culture war issues. Penny Mordaunt, whose allies had briefed, she had one of the most well-organized insurgent campaigns with a high number of backers, has near disappeared from view after coming under fire for a previous vocal support of trans rights. She was forced to issue a multi-tweet thread denying that she was woke, but insisted that she had previously, quote, challenged the trans orthodoxy, but then was undermined again by rivals, including Sulia Braverman, who said that she had supported using gender-neutral language in a bill. So already there's going to be some culture war aspects to this Tory leadership battle already. That was never in doubt. But yeah, it's honestly it's going to be it is going to be some culture war battle stuff as well during this during the Tory leadership stuff. And I've said this before. I hate covering culture war stuff because most of it is pointless, but some of it you really have to know what you're talking about. And I think I've said it before on stream. The trans stuff, it's not my wheelhouse. It's not my area of expertise. But I've said it before. I'm very supportive, of the trans community. They should have, the exact same rights as anyone else. They shouldn't feel persecuted or anything like that. That's pretty much my stance. But yeah, you are right. Yeah, gluttonous. Yeah. Yeah, the UK is getting called Turf Island nowadays. Very true. And like I say, it's something that, not that I've chosen not to educate myself on. It's just because I feel that policy, I think, matters a lot more. And that's where I feel I want to sort of be at, really. Talking about policy, talking about what's going on in sort of politics. But that's where we are. So already you've got the accusations of Penny Mordaunt being called woke being thrown about, but that's not surprising, considering, again, the poll we mentioned just earlier on, she is the top. She is the top of currently the Conservative grassroots in the running. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I mean, it does boil down to that. Just don't be shitty to people. I mean, it's not really hard to do, but the thing is, if you ever had like a guest on from sort of that community to talk about it, they would probably be able to highlight and talk about so much more about issues and stuff that's going on, and like how trans people are sort of doing all kinds of stuff to push back against all this nonsense that's so predominantly being put out by the Tory party. And it's, as I've said, it's not my wheelhouse. And you are right. It's just, don't be shitty to people. Again, it boggles the mind that a lot of people out there seem to have lost the ability to be able to do that now. But I think that's has a lot to do, I think, with the internet and the anonymity behind, obviously, the internet. But yeah, it is really simple as that. You are right. You're all right, Gluttonous. So there we go. So it's Bill. Senior Labour figures cannot believe their luck on where the dividing lines have been drawn. The party is most vulnerable on culture war issues, mostly because of public belief that the party is too obsessed with identity politics, and on the economy, where focus groups show voters do not trust Labour on spending. With a quote from one probably Labour member saying, to have a Conservative leadership contest where candidates tear themselves apart on culture wars rather than the cost of living makes them look out of touch. Plus, you have candidates making absolutely ludicrous tax and spending pledges, including extra cash for big businesses, one Labour advisor said. It couldn't be better in terms of our weakness with voters. And he's got it right. He's certainly got it right there. You know, it is where does it all go? But they are going to absolutely tear each other to pieces. And I will tell you now, it is going to be so fun to watch. Of course, at the end of the day, of course, that means a new Conservative Prime Minister. And while potentially their leadership capabilities are probably going to be better than Boris Johnson's, the policies that they are going to put out is going to be quite worrying, because another topic that I want to bring up with people, we've heard a lot talk in the past couple of years about free ports. One thing that apparently the Tories now also want to bring in is what are called charter cities that work exactly like free ports, except take a city in the north, because this is where they're targeting, a city in the north like Sheffield, Leeds, we'll use them as an example, become charter cities. What happens to them when they become a charter city? Well, effectively, imagine this. An invisible fence goes all the way around that city. And that city now basically goes, while you are in the UK, you are not technically part of the UK. So rules, laws, and regulations, they go out the window. That, my friends, is incredibly worrying, that this is something that not only Rishi Sunak wants to do, but Penny Mordaunt wants to do. That's her idea of levelling up. To basically just ring fence a city and basically say regulations, rules, laws, even working standards or working hours do not apply within the limits of this city. And also, even worse, is that a lot of far-right American libertarians are heavily involved in this project. And because they're no longer sort of technically part of the UK, a lot of these right-wing libertarian groups in America are going to buy up vast swathes of land and do all kinds of who knows what to fulfill some sort of bizarre libertarian right-wing fantasy here in the UK. Trust me, we're going to go into detail on it in a sort of a future video, but oh boy, charter cities are incredibly worrying. Incredibly worrying. Are they trying to make the whole country a free port/charter city? No, probably not. This is what is going to become probably leveling up. So you're probably going to get a load of northern cities become charter cities. And then who knows what could happen to them then. It will be really bad. Anyway, yes, I just wanted to answer a question. Where were you? I saw you go past a couple of moments ago. Where were you? Hi, Phil question now. Boris is gone. Who do you think will step up to the bench? Well, we'll probably find out possibly by Friday, maybe even Thursday evening, who it is going to be. But given the vote from Conservative Home, I now think Penny Mordaunt has a really good chance of doing it. She has a really good chance of doing it, which is why tomorrow I'm going to do that video on her. Because I think we need to know and understand just what type of person Penny Mordaunt is. And if she does get into the final two, well, she's probably got a really good chance of winning. But it does very much sound like you could have Penny Mordaunt, maybe Rishi Sunak, depending on how these briefings go. There's what's her face? Oh, I can't remember her name. Tom Tugendhat has announced that he has 20 endorsement for an MP, so he's going to go through by the sound of it. So, this is actually quite good. Apparently, according to this, I'm just reading this now. Sajid Javid, Grant Shapps, and Sulia Braverman are having trouble trying to get the necessary 20 MPs. So those could be the first couple of people who don't even technically enter into the race. Glutinous Machina, Gove's not running. Gove's not running at all. So that could be a very interesting city. That's it. Kemi Badnock. That's who it is. She's relatively come out of nowhere. She was a junior minister under Gove. That's why Gove's backing her. She's apparently a massive culture warrior. So that's going to be interesting to cover. But apparently she has shown that she could be quite popular, and that it could be a Badnock Mordaunt final two. That will be interesting, of them running around the country, engaging in, like I say, a bare knuckle boxing match. Certainly will be interesting to see when that happens. Yep, damn, not running, my boy being a disappointment. Yeah, he's decided that he isn't running. For what reason? Maybe he feels that maybe he knows, probably like Ben Wallace, probably saw the situation and went, this is going to get quite brutal. I'm probably not going to stand in this race. Yeah. I regret that there's no way that everyone loses. Very true. Very true, Colin. I would think Braverman would get most of the ERG. If they are such a force in the party, they should have plenty of MPs for her. This is it. I think those ERG people are going to back Penny Mordaunt, because you look at Braverman versus Penny Mordaunt. Braverman was in Boris Johnson's government. Mordaunt wasn't. Well, she was, but she was a junior minister, so she can sort of distance herself from that. Not only that, she was a Brexiteer from the very beginning. She's got a military background as well. I think she's ex-Royal Navy, I think. So that'll play very well with a lot of the Conservative MPs. She's probably pulling a lot of the MPs that would normally back Braverman to her, which is what you would normally expect to see. It'll be interesting to see Tom Tugendhat, how he does. Secretly, don't get me wrong, Tom Tugendhat is a Tory, but to be honest, if we want like maybe a sort of return to a more moderate Tory party, he's the sort of candidate that we want in a way. And don't get me wrong, even if he does win, he's still a Tory. He's still going to produce a lot of very bad policy. But we'll have to see where this goes from here. We really will. But yeah, oh man, Penny Mordaunt. And I don't think there's been any news recently other than that. Oh yeah, actually, let's go over the survey from Conservative Home. I'll show you the survey. There we go. So this is the latest polls that they've done from the leadership survey. And Mordaunt leads so far with Kemi Badenoch being second, Rishi Sunak being third, then Suella Braverman, Liz Truss, Tom Tugendhat, other, please name, Jeremy Hunt, Nadeem Zawari, Sajid Javid, Grant Sharps, and at the bottom you can see Priti Patel. So it's really interesting to see how this really goes. But if it gets to the final round, remember, Conservative Home, as we said before, part of the reason why we're going is just to cover obviously what the membership are thinking of this race. Trust me, it was a very, very big indicator just a couple of when we did our video about the fact that when they did a survey, who should replace Boris Johnson, the main response from most of the candidates was, well, none of the above. So that just shows you there's not a lot of faith in a lot of these candidates from even the Conservative Party. Yep. Well, it's not just Starmer to smash to bits. It's also the Tories really need to lose very, very big in the South. Very, very big. If the Lib Dems can continue on and attack the blue wall and get that to collapse, that will do a lot of damage, because not only do the Tories lose the red wall, they lose the blue wall, and it puts them in the position of essentially being the third biggest party in Parliament. That could be devastating to the Tories, massively devastating. But that's only, of course, given they've got to lose like 100% of the blue wall. That's not overly possible from what we've seen. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, the recent by-election win they had did prove that they could take a very, very safe Tory seat. But yeah, you can see how the next general election is going to be very, very interesting to watch. Braverman was put in there for the ERG. Yep, very true. The question is, do we want the least bad of these candidates to be selected in order to minimize the damage to the country, or the worst of the bunch in order to hasten the defeat of the Tories? Yeah, interesting question, actually. To be honest, it's, again, I'm 50-50 on trying to answer that question, because it's hard, because the worst least bad candidate is really Tom Tugendhat. He's the worst least one out of all of them. And then, of course, the worst candidate was Braverman. It could be Badenoch, but now I'm thinking Penny Mordaunt. She could definitely do a lot of damage, especially if she leans into this Charter City stuff, in terms of pushing that forward as her leveling up agenda. And like I say, there's a lot of far-right American libertarians who are desperate for this to happen, because it can pull all kinds of crazy stuff. Then it is, like I say, imagine an invisible wall like around Sheffield, Leeds, Bradford, name any city in the north, and then technically, while you are a city in the UK, anything goes. And that is terrifying, because one moment you could be working in Sheffield, having good worker rights, all kinds of protection and all this kind of stuff. Up goes the wall. You better hope you've got a good employer that's going to keep to that. If not, it's going to be very difficult for a lot of people. Very, very difficult. Yeah. Sounds like a license for exploitation. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. They'll get the blue wall back now Johnson is gone. I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure that they will. I think they definitely will lose a lot of, they won't lose all of them, but I think if the Lib Dems seriously go after these traditional blue wall conservatives, they could get some seats from there. There is a very good chance they could maybe not take them all, maybe get half, but that's all they need to do. How can all this happen and not lead to an overwhelming win for Labour? Basically, they need Scotland. So unless we saw a Scottish Labour revival getting those seats to the north, and I'm going to piss off a lot of Scottish nationalists for this, but screw it. Voting for the SNP at a general election is sort of a waste of a vote, because if you generally want to change national politics, to actually have a proper say, then you need to be able to elect a party that has a decent sized majority and can actually get stuff done down in Westminster. And your only options are Labour or the Lib Dems. They're really only two options, or unless the SNP just want to drop the Scottish nationalist stuff drop the independents completely and just start campaigning south of the border. I mean, it's not the worst of all ideas. It's not the worst of all ideas. Yeah. Stop slagging off Penny or we could end up with the awful Sunak. Yeah. That's very true. Yeah. But it's so difficult. It's for Labour to win like the full clean sweep, they would have to reach into traditional Tory areas as well. But because Labour, again, are more sort of centre left now under Starmer, especially after today's policy announcements, some of the stuff that he announced today. Like I say, I am expecting from that announcement he gave today to possibly see a manifesto in the not too distant future, which, yay, at last. That's very doubtful. And the Lib Dems probably have a bigger chance of sort of winning those two seats. So I would hope at the next general election, we get to see either A, Labour win, but they will probably win with a small minority, or they do a deal with the Lib Dems. And I think if that happens and we get Labour to support PR in this coming September, and they get that in, and they get in and they pass that, then I've said it so many times. If we can change our voting system from first past the post to PR, be it a single transferable vote or one of the other systems, I'm very much in favour of the STV. You can tell. But if we can change it to like a PR system, the Tories will never ever get in power, or at least this current version of the Tory party will never ever be able to get in power. What they would actually have to do then is they would have to drag themselves from being very right-wing libertarians that they are slowly sliding into at the moment. They would have to certainly slide back, certainly back towards the David Cameron years, maybe even go more to the centre than that. That would be the only way the Tory party would survive under that. Because you look at the last general election, Boris Johnson won pretty much the same amount of the vote that Theresa May did. But why did the Tories have such a large majority where Theresa May barely held it together? It is because the Tories, under Boris Johnson at that last election, won new seats they had never won before. And it is because they won those seats that they'd never won before, primarily the red wall seats. Like I say, 19 new MPs from that 2019 intake alone. If Labour can win back the red wall at the next election, that will be enough. That will be enough to put the Tories out of power. Not by much, but it will be able to put them out of power. And one of the many unanswered questions that Boris Johnson leaves behind him, because Johnson was the type of leader who went, we're going to go in that direction. So everyone go in that direction. And then people would end up stumbling about, not knowing which direction to go, what to prioritize, or what to do. He was that type of leader. People would be very confused about the direction he was giving. And because of that, there are unanswered questions in the Tory party, which the next leader is going to have to try and sort out. So one of them is the Tory party a big state or a small state party? Because a lot of those red wall MPs are actually quite big statists. They like having sort of the NHS, all these public services that poll really, really well up in the north. Or do we want a small state party? You're going to hear that question asked a lot. And there are going to be a lot of people who at the last general election voted Tory for the first time look back at how the Tory party has become under this new leader and just go, I'm not holding my nose and voting for you again. The other one is leveling up. How are we actually going to level up? Because Boris Johnson never answered that question. Michael Gove never answered that question. Yeah, he bought out the leveling up report. And as I said, fascinating reading, admitting that the Tory party had been responsible for years of industrial decline, that it didn't have any plan to, strategically help level up the north, and that there were no proper plans to help cities, towns, and these regions of the north generally to close the gaps between the north and the south. Pretty shocking admission. And they laid it out. This is how much money we'll need. And of course, you go on to the actual funding part of it, where it was clearly Rishi Sunak had come in with Rishi Scissorhands, had come in, cutting as much of the budget as he could. There was not, in the first half, we said we need this amount of money, but in the next part, where it's actually saying you're going to get this part of this money, it was not the amount that was even needed and less than what they wanted. It's been said before, but levelling up was one of the big pillars of Boris Johnson's premiership. It's collapsed. It's collapsed at this point. Simon says no mention of Liz. I'm not too sure. Liz, I don't think Liz will get to the final two. I think there's already been a lot of polling against her for it to not go further. I think she might make it past the beginning, but after that, we don't know. Yep, Jim J. Yep. At the end of all this, we still have a far-right oligarch Tory government looking after the wealthy. Yeah. Very true. Very, very true. But yeah. What's this? Is it possible the leader is chosen to lose? Does it look like the Conservatives will lose? It does look like the next Conservatives will lose the next election. Trust would work that way. Probably very possible. Probably very, very possible in that sense. But the Conservatives are about winning. That's why they ditched Johnson. That's certainly one of the reasons why they ditched Johnson. I generally think they just thought, right, enough's enough. We've got to get rid of him, or else we're going to lose. So a big discussion will be, and certainly one of the things that gets thrown about, we've already seen it. In fact, I think it was Priti Patel. We don't know if she's announced her running. Like I say, she's gonna get in there pretty quick, because the opening for who can run, it opens tomorrow and then closes tomorrow. So we'll find out almost immediately, if there have been any dropouts, unable to get the required 20 MPs that they now need to be able to enter the race. And of course, after that, the first round will very quickly follow on Wednesday. So we'll probably cover that on our live stream on Wednesday. And we'll see who else gets dropped out. This is going to go very quickly, and this is exactly what the Tories sort of wanted. A very quick, non-messy leadership race. But as we've discussed going over that article earlier, this is very, very bitter race that is going to be run. There's already, I mean, dossiers being shared to the Labour Party of affairs, dodgy business dealings, and questionable tax statuses. You know? But yeah, it does look like Nazim Zawawi is going to certainly have a rough time of it as well. He may not be able to pass it. To see if there's any no, there hasn't been any updates on the contest. So, yeah. That is how the Tory leadership contest is shaping up so far. As we always said, it was going to be brutal. It was going to be bloody. And it was going to be a straight up bare knuckle boxing match. And especially if we get to the final two, because we talked about it very recently about the wrath of the disappointed. There is going to be a lot of wrath. A lot of wrath pointed at some of these candidates. Biggest doggers. Levelling up did not collapse. It never existed. Yeah, very true. One of the great lies that Boris Johnson told. Very, very much to get the North on the side, to appeal to the North. It's exactly the same way that Trump used when he went to what is known as the Rust Belt, to say, oh, hey, I'm going to bring manufacturing back to the Rust Belt. Oh no, Conservator, really? Jeff's viewers want JRM to throw his hat in. Should we watch a Jeff video, everyone? Let's see. Let's take a trip to Jeff Land and see what's going on. Right. See what we got. Could he really win the pro-Boris candidate? That might be that one. Oh, they want him back. Tory stitch up on the way. Yeah, I tell you what, we'll go with this one. Share screen. Blah, blah. There we go. Conservative, could he really win? Well, JRM is not even in the running at the moment, so we're all right. Jacob Rees-Mogg is not in the running. He has not announced his candidacy. He's not running. He is not being considered, so you don't have to worry, Conservator. He's not even in the running, so he literally cannot win. However, I'm sure Jeff is going to tell us how he could maybe perhaps win. Oh, could he really win? Oh, title first. Sorry, I thought you were actually asking, could Jacob Rees-Mogg actually really win? But yeah, this is it. The pro-Boris candidates with laughing emoji.
Hello there. Well, what's this I hear? A Conservative MP is thinking of standing in the leadership election under a pro-Boris banner. Well, this could be interesting. One Tory MP is mulling over whether or not to enter the Tory leadership race as a pro-Boris Johnson candidate. And that MP is none other than Jacob Rees-Mogg. Now, that would put some cats amongst the pigeons.
Probably not likely going to happen. There is absolutely no chance he has any chance of winning. Like I say, Priti Patel at this moment has less than 24 hours to actually go in and announce her candidates. Not only that, you have to get those 20 MPs. So if Jacob Rees-Mogg is really going to enter, Jeff, TikTok, times are wasting. I want that for comedy value. Part of me was hoping Nadine Dorries would run just for that as well.
But he will need to get a whole bunch of his fellow Tory MPs to endorse him to be able to get on the candidates list in the first place, especially as the 1922 committee that sets the leadership election rules is rumoured to be ready to set the number of supporting MPs required by a candidate at a very high level, because they want to get down to the final two before Parliament goes into recess on the 22nd of July, just 11 days away. Now, Rees-Mogg isn't saying anything about this himself, but two unnamed MPs are quoted in the Telegraph talking about the Mogster sounding out the possibility of becoming the focal point for the Brexiteers and the right wing of the party, with what
how honestly, you are right, Conservative. We'll have a look at the comments in a bit, but it shocks me because this video was released today, less than 2 hours ago. And unless Mogg is suddenly going to release this campaign and start campaigning, as I said, TikTok, time's are ticking. It's not likely. But then, of course, we're all familiar with Jeff Taylor. We know that, well, Jeff's political predictions are about as regular as a cucumber. So, yeah, doesn't surprise me that he's making a pitch for Jacob Rees-Mogg. Yeah, I wouldn't let JRM feed my cat, let alone the country. He probably doesn't even know what to do. Yeah. Is the video paused or is Jeff taking a very deep breath? Well, difficult to tell sometimes. It really is.
one of them saying he would be brilliant and probably the only person all the pro-Boris MPs could support. And Rees-Mogg also has support from outside the normal Westminster bubble, in the form of an endorsement from John Lydon, better known as Johnny Rotten, the frontman of the Sex Pistols, who said he loved Rees-Mogg's World War II respect and his put Britain first attitude. Now, an unexpected Rees-Mogg win would definitely put the left into a meltdown of epic proportions, especially if he made Boris his deputy.
Not going to happen. We don't have to worry anything about, shall we say, a Jacob Rees-Mogg. We do not have to worry about a Jacob Rees-Mogg PMship because it's not going to happen, Jeff. I wonder if he'll be recanting his comments, but he probably won't. He never does. So let's see what the comments are. Oh my God. Jacob Rees-Mogg simply states that the country voted for Boris, not MPs. Not how our parliamentary representative democracy works, but okay. The Mogg is my favourite. He's the most knowledgeable MP in Parliament. Yes. Jacob Rees-Mogg, the most knowledgeable MP in Parliament. Certainly a moniker that he has not ever won. Next one. He's too clever for their liking. He's the only one I would vote for. Now, if he was in charge, lost all faith in the other backstabbers. What? Honestly, what has Jacob Rees-Mogg going for him? He's an absolute Tory toff. This is the type of person that a couple of years ago, the Parliamentary Conservative Party was running against. The Leave campaign was running against these types of so-called elites. But apparently, they're very happy to vote for Jacob Rees-Mogg, who doesn't give a damn about them and their problems. Another one, nearly always putting their names forward for showing themselves untrustworthy. Anyone endorsing them just as bad. Use all the Brexit voters backing too. Go Mogg. Just about time we had true representation for the British. Mogg will do nicely. Yeah, because Jacob Rees-Mogg is the true representative of a typical British person. Anyway, he would be the obvious choice for PM for this country, the man of loyalty and integrity, questionable. Something British people could trust, rare qualities in a politician these days. Best of all, he's a staunch Brexiteer. Brilliant news, the obvious choice. The only one who can see off the WDF candidate, Sunak, is about to be imposed on us. Definitely doesn't like Sunak. Again, all these people believing that because Jeff said it, that Jacob Rees-Mogg is going to enter the race. I mean, what on earth? What on earth? I mean, what do you really do about that? Yeah, you are right, Cathode. He lied to the Queen about paroling in Parliament. He got a Johnny Rotten endorsement. Yeah, that is true. Johnny Rotten, the anti-punk conservative, deeply against Margaret Thatcher, now incredibly conservative and supports the modern Conservative Party. That's certainly one to get around your head when you realise that. But yeah. So anyway, this was again meant to be a very quick stream. It just informed you what's going on with the leadership race. Like I say, we will be doing a live stream on Wednesday. We will bring you sort of what has been going on, what's been happening, probably who is still in the running, who's out of the running at that moment in time. Like I say, we will have just had the first lot of round of votes. So it will be very, very interesting because we will probably get an idea of if it will just be these two rounds or not, and whether we will have those final two announced on Friday. And then, of course, we can start the hustings between these two, which is going to be just as interesting as the leadership contest itself. So let the Schadenfreude commence. But yes, as always, thank you very much for joining me in this evening. It's very sort of impromptu stream. Thank you very much for joining me. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and share button on your way out. And of course, down below, there's the subscribe button if you are new. There's also the YouTube thank you button. There's the links down below to my Patreon page, the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. There's the YouTube subscription, where if you subscribe to that, you get all sorts of little bells, whistles, and emojis and whatnot. So that's being updated very, very soon. So, as always, thank you, everyone, and good night. Enjoy your evening, and we'll see you all on Wednesday to catch up on, as Conservative has rightly called, let the Tory Hunger Games begin. So we'll see you all Wednesday then. So, yeah, we'll see you very soon. Oh, and watch out for my video tomorrow about Penny Mordaunt, because it's very likely Penny Mordaunt could get down to the final two and has a really good shot, unfortunately, at becoming the next PM. And trust me, just because she's a, quote, unknown quantity doesn't mean there's a lot of information about her, about who she is and what she stands for. And we probably need to get ahead of the game and telling people what she's actually all about, especially as she's one of the big supporters, as we warned earlier, of charter cities. Also something which we are going to do a video about as well. So with that said, we'll see you all very soon. And as always, good night and good luck.